Have you ever paused to consider how a nation truly builds its influence on the global stage? You know, beyond the fleeting headlines and high-profile visits.
Hmm.
How does a country consistently act as well, the source called it a lighthouse in the tempest,
Mhm.
right? Guiding international discourse rather than just uh, reacting to the latest storm.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's far more intricate than just those grand diplomatic gestures we often see.
Right, there's this powerful, often unseen strategic engine humming beneath it all, constantly thinking, researching, and meticulously fostering dialogue.
And what's truly fascinating here, looking at these sources, is how they reveal the intricate orchestration. I mean, the detailed strategic planning, the robust research, the constant multi-layered engagement, it all underpins a nation's foreign policy.
It's not just navigating current events, then.
Not at all. It's about proactively shaping the future, anticipating challenges, maybe identifying opportunities, before they fully emerge. Today, we're sort of pulling back the curtain on exactly that, the hidden depths of foreign policy planning and its execution.
Okay, let's unpack this intricate machinery. Our deep dive today is into this fascinating, powerful, yet often unseen nerve center of global diplomacy, the Policy Planning and Research Division, specifically within India's Ministry of External Affairs.
A crucial part of the puzzle.
Absolutely. And our mission today is really to help you, the listener, understand the multifaceted approach this division takes, to make sure a country is not just well-informed, but genuinely influential and proactive in, well, a rapidly changing world.
Right.
You'll gain insights into how strategic foresight, global collaboration, and systematic knowledge sharing all intertwine, how they paint this cohesive, dynamic picture of a nation's international agenda.
Think of it as revealing the sophisticated choreography behind the diplomatic dance. It's about recognizing that effective foreign policy isn't a series of isolated reactive moves, but a continuous, integrated process. And we'll explore how this dedicated division ensures that every action, every statement, every partnership contributes to a larger, coherent vision, building a robust framework for global engagement that's both, resilient and adaptable.
So let's start at the very core then.
Yeah.
What exactly is this Policy Planning and Research Division? Our sources call it the Nodal Division,
Nodal.
which sounds pretty vital. Essentially, the central nervous system for a whole range of critical activities that keep the nation's foreign policy agile and forward-looking.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, that designation nodal truly underscores its absolute centrality. This isn't just one department among many, it's really the intellectual and administrative hub, the strategic brain, if you will.
The strategic brain, I like that.
It's explicitly responsible for medium-term policy planning. And that's crucial because it allows a nation to look beyond immediate crises, right? To develop sustained multi-year strategies.
Right, not just reacting day to day.
Exactly. Imagine a country wanting to become a hub for, say, renewable energy technology. Well, that takes years of planned diplomatic outreach, trade agreements, R&D partnerships. It's not just a single meeting. This division basically lays out that long-term roadmap.
That makes so much sense, because historically, foreign policy could often feel quite reactive, couldn't it? Driven by the immediate crisis.
Precisely.
What's insightful here is how this division acts as a kind of future-proofing mechanism, constantly scanning the horizon for trends, for opportunities, allowing the nation to invest in relationships and capabilities long before a crisis maybe even emerges.
That's a great way to put it. Future-proofing. It also handles in-depth research, providing the analytical backbone for decision-making. And this isn't just, academic work filed away somewhere. No, it's intelligence gathering, strategic analysis that directly informs policy. And then there's the critical outreach to the strategic community, think tanks, academic communities.
Why is that external part so important?
Well, it's vital for incorporating diverse perspectives, challenging internal assumptions maybe, and tapping into a wider pool of expertise. Plus, it's key for engaging bilateral partners on actual policy planning dialogues, fostering alignment, shared understanding with other nations on a deeper, more strategic level.
So without this kind of structured approach.
Without it, foreign policy risks becoming purely reactive, just responding to events as they unfold rather than anticipating them and proactively shaping outcomes. This division provides the the intellectual infrastructure to develop nuanced, foresight-driven policies. Policies that can withstand global volatility and advance national interests over the long haul.
And it's not just about planning in the abstract, is it? This division is also the backbone, the coordinating force for some really significant high-profile policy initiatives.
That's right.
Our sources highlight its role as the nodal division for the Voice of Global South Summit, VOGSS, and for coordinating the Neighborhood First policy within the ministry. These are two incredibly impactful and, well, quite distinct initiatives.
And this raises an important question, really. Why these specific initiatives? Why are they coordinated here?
Okay.
Well, the Voice of Global South Summit clearly positions the nation as a leader and advocate for developing countries. It reflects a strong emphasis on South-South cooperation. But it's not just another platform, you see.
How so?
It seems to uniquely leverage its own development journey, its technological prowess, and we'll touch on Dakshin later, to offer concrete models for cooperation. It's not just advocating for aid or solidarity in the abstract.
It's more practical.
Exactly. It's about transforming that symbolic voice into a tangible, recurring dialogue for shared solutions. Then, the Neighborhood First policy, on the other hand, indicates a clear strategic priority on regional stability, regional engagement, a foundational approach, starting with the immediate geographic proximity, building a secure and prosperous periphery.
So one very broad global focus, the other very regional.
Correct. Both show a deliberate framing of foreign policy, yet both are coordinated centrally by this division.
It's fascinating how coordinating these diverse initiatives from a single division must ensure, well, synergy, consistency in the country's foreign policy narrative.
Absolutely.
It's like having one conductor for a complex orchestra, making sure all the instruments play in harmony towards that common vision. Avoiding mixed signals or duplicating efforts must be crucial.
It's absolutely crucial. Without that central coordination, you could easily have different initiatives pulling in slightly different directions, right? Diluting the overall impact, potentially sending confusing signals to the international community. Centralized oversight from this nodal division ensures that the messaging, the resource allocation, the strategic objectives across these varied initiatives are aligned. It strengthens the nation's diplomatic posture, reinforces its core foreign policy principles.
And allows for cross-pollination, maybe.
Precisely. Cross-pollination of ideas, resources, it makes each initiative more effective as part of a grander strategy, almost like a diplomatic GPS system keeping all parts of the foreign policy machine aligned towards a common destination.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, digging deeper into one of those key initiatives. The Voice of Global South Summit. VOGSS.
Well, yes, VOGSS.
Our sources detail two major editions of this summit in 2023 alone. One in January, another in November. The sheer speed, two summits in 1 year. That tells us something profound about its importance, doesn't it?
It really does. The rapid succession, January and then November 2023, is highly indicative of the strategic emphasis placed on this. This isn't a one-off event, clearly. It's a deliberate, sustained effort. It signals an urgent, action-oriented approach.
And the format.
Both editions featured leadership and ministerial segments, and importantly, the Prime Minister himself chaired the leadership summits.
Top-level commitment, then.
Unwavering, top-level commitment to empowering, to amplifying the collective voice of the Global South. It's a deliberate effort to create a robust, recurring platform for shared concerns, common challenges, and finding collective solutions. Fundamentally, it aims to redefine global governance, making it more inclusive, more reflective of developing nations' priorities.
Moving beyond just advocacy.
Exactly, moving beyond advocacy to become a forum for tangible cooperation.
And building on VOGSS, the second summit saw the inauguration of something called Dakshin.
Yes, Dakshin.
What exactly is Dakshin, and why is it important in the larger scheme of things for the Global South? What kind of practical impact could it have?
Okay, so Dakshin. It's established in New Delhi, and the name stands for Development and Knowledge Sharing Initiative.
Okay.
Its explicit purpose is to facilitate the sharing of knowledge and best practices, specifically in two areas: human-centric development and technology-enabled transformation among Global South countries.
Can you unpack those terms a bit? Human-centric development.
Sure. Think of human-centric development as focusing on solutions that directly empower individuals and communities. So maybe sustainable agriculture techniques tailored to local needs, or grassroots healthcare initiatives, or effective vocational training programs, things that directly impact people's lives.
Got it. And technology-enabled transformation.
That could involve sharing best practices on, say, digital public infrastructure, which India has experience with, or using AI for disaster prediction in vulnerable regions, or leveraging fintech to boost financial inclusion across the global south.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, Dakshin is like a practical outcome of VOGSS.
Precisely. It's a tangible, concrete outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Moving beyond just dialogue to concrete action and, importantly, institutionalized cooperation. It's a physical and intellectual hub designed to foster genuine cooperation and capacity building.
Making sure the summit discussions translate into actual improvements.
That's the goal. Ensuring that the discussions from the summits translate into practical, on-the-ground improvements in partner countries. It institutionalizes the commitment to South-South cooperation, providing long-term value rather than just being a talking shop.
A mechanism for continuous learning and shared progress.
Exactly. Turning ideas into tangible results. Dakshin isn't just a symbol, it's meant to be an operational arm for the VOGSS initiative. By focusing on knowledge sharing in these key areas, it addresses fundamental needs and opportunities in the global south.
A long-term investment.
Absolutely. A long-term investment in fostering self-reliance, mutual assistance among developing nations, creating a sustainable model for collaboration that can continue to yield benefits for years. It's about empowering nations to adapt and innovate using shared experiences, proven methods, thereby strengthening the collective capabilities and ultimately the collective voice of the global south.
Okay, so beyond these big summits, the division is also constantly engaged in direct policy planning dialogues.
Yes.
Bilateral ones.
Yes, a lot of those.
Who are they talking to? The list seems quite diverse. And why are these specific dialogues so important for the nation's foreign policy?
It is a diverse list. The sources mention dialogues with Germany, the EU, Israel, Vietnam, Japan, Armenia, and the Republic of Korea.
Wow, that's a spread.
It really demonstrates a remarkably broad and sophisticated engagement strategy. You've got established economic and tech powers like Germany and the EU, critical hubs for innovation and security tech like Israel, dynamic emerging economies in Asia, Vietnam, Japan, South Korea.
And Armenia.
Right. The inclusion of Armenia also shows a nuanced approach, engaging strategically located nations beyond maybe the most common partners, possibly looking at broader regional stability in places like the Caucasus.
So the sheer variety is the point.
I think so. It suggests a sophisticated foreign policy that carefully tailors its engagement to specific bilateral relationships, acknowledging their unique strategic importance. These dialogues are crucial because they allow for direct, in-depth discussions on shared challenges, shared opportunities, fostering mutual understanding, laying the groundwork for cooperative solutions before issues potentially escalate.
And critically, separate from those bilateral talks, they also held dialogues jointly with QADM member states, Australia, Japan, and the USA.
Yes, the QAID grouping.
What's the significance of engaging this particular group jointly? It signals a specific focus, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The specific mention of dialogues held jointly with QID members highlights the profound importance of multilateral frameworks and strategic partnerships in specific regions, particularly, of course, the Indo-Pacific.
Right.
This engagement underscores a commitment to shared security, economic and strategic interests with key allies in what is a highly dynamic and strategically vital region. It reflects a layered approach to international relations, combining strong bilateral ties with crucial multilateral cooperation.
So what are these QI dialogues about specifically?
They're about aligning perspectives on regional stability, maritime security, freedom of navigation, emerging challenges like cybersecurity or critical supply chains. It's about pooling resources, diplomatic efforts to address complex issues collectively, fundamentally ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific.
So these dialogues, both bilateral and QID, they aren't just for talking then. They allow for preemptive problem solving, aligning strategic interests, deepening understanding.
That's a crucial point. They move beyond mere diplomatic pleasantries.
How so? Can you give a sense of what kinds of problems they might be solving preemptively?
Well, these dialogues are about foresight, identifying potential flashpoints, areas of divergence before they escalate, and working proactively to find common ground. For instance, in the Indo-Pacific, preemptive problem-solving might involve discussing shared concerns about, say, maritime domain awareness, or developing joint responses to humanitarian disasters, or collaborating on resilience against economic coercion.
And the dialogue format helps.
It facilitates this by building trust and understanding at the policy planning level. It allows partners to share intelligence, align their long-term strategic objectives, maybe even coordinate public messaging. By engaging partners on policy planning, a nation doesn't just articulate its own priorities, it gains critical insights into the perspectives and concerns of others.
Which leads to more robust policy.
Exactly. More robust, resilient, effective foreign policy outcomes, built on shared understanding rather than just unilateral assumptions. It's a fundamental component of effective diplomacy in today's complex, interconnected world.
Okay, it's clear this division isn't just about talking. They're also producing a wealth of research.
A significant amount, yes.
What kind of papers are we talking about? And how are they actually used? This sounds like the engine room of intellectual firepower.
You're right, it very much is the intellectual engine room. The division produces a number of research papers and policy briefs covering foreign policy trends and international developments. And again, this isn't just academic exercise or theoretical work put on a shelf.
It's used.
Explicitly. This research output is utilized by the ministry itself and by Indian missions abroad, directly informing their work.
And the focus.
It ranges quite broadly, from providing immediate response options to emerging issues. So imagine a rapid analysis of an unfolding crisis, maybe in a neighboring region, complete with policy recommendations.
Okay, very practical.
Very. But also examining medium and long-term trends and developments in the world and the nation's evolving role and interest over this strategic horizon. So it's both short-term tactical and long-term strategic. This implies a highly practical, foresight-driven approach to research, directly informing and empowering diplomatic actions and strategic decisions at all levels.
So how does having this internal research arm specifically contribute to more informed decision-making and maybe even more agile foreign policy? It seems like a big investment versus just relying on external think tanks.
It's absolutely critical. An internal research arm provides a dedicated capacity for in-depth, nuanced analysis that might not always be readily available from external sources alone or might not be tailored precisely enough.
Tailored is key.
Yes. It allows the ministry to commission research tailored precisely to its immediate and long-term strategic needs, ensuring a deep dive into issues of specific national interest without, perhaps, external influence or agenda sometimes found elsewhere. This leads to more informed decisions because policies are grounded in evidence, in foresight, not just intuition or short-term reactions.
And the agility part.
It contributes to a more agile foreign policy because the research can identify emerging trends, potential risks early on, allowing for preemptive adjustments, innovative solutions. It's about building a robust, institutional knowledge base that enhances strategic autonomy and effectiveness, providing policymakers with a consistent, reliable stream of tailored insights.
And they've got quite a list of regular publications, too, beyond these research papers.
They do.
What does this tell us about their commitment to disseminating information, both internally within the government and maybe externally to wider academic circles?
The array of publications is truly impressive, comprehensive. It speaks volumes about their commitment to structured knowledge dissemination. They produce, let's see.
Go on.
The Foreign Policy Daily Report, likely quick, essential updates for immediate operational awareness. What happened today, what's urgent.
Okay.
The NETI series probably delves into specific policy frameworks, strategic blueprints for longer-term governmental initiatives, a deeper dive.
Right.
A think tank compendium invaluable for understanding external expert perspectives, consolidating insights from the broader strategic community. The Global Conflict Monitor for tracking international security developments, ongoing analysis of potential flashpoints. Foreign Policy Crux, probably offering concise, critical analyses of key diplomatic issues, like a focus brief. The monthly summary of the cabinet, crucial for internal alignment, ensuring key decisions are communicated consistently within the government. And of course, the annual report of the ministry for broader accountability and public communication of their yearly achievements.
That is a comprehensive suite.
It really is. And it ensures that internal stakeholders, missions abroad, even external academic communities are consistently updated with timely and strategic information. It highlights a deep commitment to transparency, data-driven analysis, and systematic knowledge sharing across the entire foreign policy ecosystem.
That's a great breakdown.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, though, how might these different publications serve distinct purposes? Catering to various needs, from the diplomat needing a daily update to the strategist looking at the 10-year horizon.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very intelligent information architecture.
That's an excellent point. And yes, it absolutely seems like an intelligent architecture. Each publication likely serves a very specific function, optimized for its audience and purpose.
Right.
The daily report, immediate operational awareness, a concise briefing to start the day. The Global Conflict Monitor, Foreign Policy Crux ongoing, more detailed analysis feeding tactical midterm planning. The NTI series, or the Think Tank Compendium, probably more about synthesizing longer-term strategic thought, external views, informing medium to long-term policy formulation, fostering that intellectual discourse.
And the annual report.
Naturally, a consolidated record, a public communication tool. This stratified approach ensures information, from granular daily updates to broad strategic insights, is delivered in a format suitable for its intended audience, optimizing its utility for decision-makers at all levels. It prevents information overload while ensuring, hopefully, no vital insight is missed.
Okay, so beyond their internal work, the research, the publications, they're also big on collaboration, organizing major strategic outreach dialogues with think tanks, academic institutions.
Yes, the outreach part is significant.
Why is this external collaboration so vital for effective foreign policy? It feels like it breaks down traditional silos between government and academia, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and it's crucial because it broadens the scope of ideas, incorporates diverse perspectives from non-governmental experts, and fosters a really rich intellectual environment for foreign policy discourse. It reflects an understanding that impactful foreign policy isn't created in isolation, right?
Right.
It benefits immensely from robust engagement with external thought leaders, academics, strategic thinkers. This is where academic rigor meets practical diplomacy, you could say.
And this is the Track 1.5, Track 2.0 diplomacy you mentioned.
Exactly. This kind of Track 1.5 or Track 2.0 diplomacy involving non-official actors is incredibly valuable. It allows for greater flexibility, broader conversations, often enable discussions that might be too sensitive for official government-to-government channels, the formal Track 1.
Like what kind of discussions?
Well, non-official actors can perhaps discuss sensitive border issues more freely, or debate future technology regulations, or explore regional security architectures without the immediate diplomatic pressure and public scrutiny. They can float trial balloons for policy ideas, or build informal consensus. It's a crucial space for creative problem-solving outside the formal box.
Let's dive into some of these key dialogues then, because the list is extensive and, as you say, tells a powerful story of global engagement and partnerships.
Okay.
First up, chronologically, the 6th India-U.S. Forum, January 13th, 14th. What was the focus there?
Okay, the India-U.S. Forum, organized with the Ananta Aspen Center. Its theme was remarkably expansive. Geopolitics, security, strategy, economics, energy, technology.
Covering pretty much everything.
Just about. This broad scope really indicates the deeply multifaceted nature of the India-U.S. relationship, extending far beyond traditional security concerns to encompass these critical emerging areas. It signifies a strategic effort to deepen collaboration across vital sectors that define the modern global landscape. Think about securing critical mineral supply chains, collaborating on AI ethics, jointly developing renewable energy strategies. That's the kind of comprehensive partnership this forum aims to foster, building a holistic, resilient alliance.
Okay. Then, the Asia Economic Dialogue, February 23rd to 25th in Pune. Theme: Asia and the Emerging World Order. What insights can we draw from this, especially given the location and theme?
Right, Pune. In collaboration with the Pune International Center, this dialogue addressed the significant shifts in global power dynamics, very much from an Asian vantage point. The theme, Asia and the Emerging World Order, points directly to a focus on the economic and geopolitical ascendancy of Asia and India's critical role within that evolving landscape.
Proactive engagement with regional shifts.
Exactly. It's about proactive engagement with regional transformations, recognizing that the future of global economics and politics will be heavily shaped by Asian developments. This conference serves as a crucial platform to discuss these trends, explore new trade routes, debate sustainable economic models, forge pathways for regional cooperation, ensuring Asian voices contribute powerfully to the global economic narrative.
Next, the 8th Rasina Dialogue, March 2nd to 5th. This sounds like a truly major event.
It is a flagship event.
The theme: provocation, uncertainty, turbulence, lighthouse in the tempest. That's a powerful, evocative theme. What makes this dialogue so significant globally?
Organized with the Observer Research Foundation in New Delhi, Rasina is clearly a flagship on the global foreign policy calendar. The theme speaks directly to the volatile global landscape, doesn't it? Positioning the nation as a beacon of stability, guidance, thoughtful leadership in uncertain times.
And the scale.
The sheer scale is impressive. Participation from over 100 countries, including about 35 ministers. The source calls it one of the largest global gatherings of foreign policy practitioners and experts.
Wow.
which demonstrates its significant convening power, its influence on global discourse. And the presence of high-level dignitaries, like the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, with the Prime Minister, further underscores its importance as a forum where global leaders convene to discuss critical issues, shape future strategies.
And that lighthouse analogy.
It isn't just poetic. It's a deliberate projection, I think, of a guiding, stable presence, offering a clear vision for a rules-based international order amidst all the geopolitical shifts we're seeing.
Moving on to May. The 6th Indian Ocean Conference, May 12th, 13th in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Theme, Peace, Prosperity, and Partnership for a Resilient Future. What's the focus here?
Held in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bangladesh and the S. Rajaratnam School from Singapore, this conference emphasizes the profound strategic importance of the Indian Ocean region.
Not just a body of water.
Definitely not. It's a crucial maritime highway for global trade, a nexus of geopolitical influence. The theme highlights critical issues: enhancing maritime security against piracy, illicit trafficking, fostering economic collaboration maybe through blue economy initiatives, and building resilience against various challenges.
Like climate change.
Exactly. From climate change impacts on coastal communities to geopolitical shifts affecting shipping lanes, it reflects a vital regional focus, acknowledging the need for concerted efforts for shared stability and prosperity among all the littoral states.
Okay, then another India-Japan Forum, the second edition, back in New Delhi, July 28th, 29th. This one focused on, well, it's a long list: Indo-Pacific and Quad, defense security cooperation, technologies and supply chains, investment in infrastructure, semiconductors and critical minerals, and economic engagement.
It is an extensive list. This forum, again with Ananta Aspen Center, really showcases the remarkable depth and breadth of the India-Japan partnership, especially within that critical Indo-Pacific construct and the QUID framework.
The detail in the theme is striking.
It really is. It indicates a robust focus on vital areas for national and global resilience. We're talking discussions on critical and emerging technologies, like semiconductors foundational to modern economies, securing vital supply chains, a lesson keenly learned recently, promoting significant investment, infrastructure development, especially connectivity projects across the Indo-Pacific, and ensuring stable access to critical minerals essential for green energy, high-tech industries.
Cornerstones of future power.
Exactly. These are all vital components for future global stability and prosperity. It demonstrates a highly proactive approach to securing strategic assets, fostering innovation in key strategic sectors, recognizing these as cornerstones of future power and resilience.
And then another India-Japan event, the 6th India-Japan Indo-Pacific Forum, this time in Tokyo, November 15th, 16th, focusing on India and Japan, shaping the future of the Indo-Pacific.
Right, moving the venue to Tokyo.
Holding it there really underscores the shared regional vision, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Organized with the Delhi Policy Group, holding it in Tokyo strategically reinforces that shared vision, that joint leadership for the Indo-Pacific region between these two pivotal players. The theme, Shaping the Future, implies a proactive leadership role in defining regional stability, economic growth, the rules-based order. It highlights a joint commitment to a free, open, inclusive Indo-Pacific, demonstrating how two key partners can collectively influence the trajectory of a vital global region.
Setting norms, fostering cooperation.
Precisely.
Okay, nearing the end of the year's dialogues, the 22nd India-Korea Strategic Dialogue, November 27th, 28th, focusing on Indo-Pacific regional security, economic cooperation, defense space, technology, and cooperation.
22nd edition. That's long-standing.
It is. What does this long partnership signify, particularly with themes like defense space?
The 22nd edition, again organized with Ananta Aspen Center, signals a long-standing and continuously evolving strategic relationship. The theme's inclusion of defense space and technology and cooperation highlights the growing importance of emerging domains in their bilateral ties.
Beyond traditional security.
Yes. It reflects shared interests in high-tech collaboration, cybersecurity, regional security beyond traditional land and sea boundaries. It demonstrates a forward-looking approach to partnership, addressing the new frontiers of international relations and security, recognizing that future geopolitical influence will increasingly hinge on capabilities in these advanced technological domains, building a comprehensive security partnership for the 21st century.
And finally, closing out the year of major dialogues, the 8th Global Technology Summit, December 4th to 6th in New Delhi, on geopolitics of technology. This sounds incredibly timely.
Extremely timely. This summit, in collaboration with Carnegie India, underscores the profound, undeniable impact of technology on international relations. The theme, Geopolitics of Technology, directly recognizes that tech advancements aren't just economic drivers anymore.
They reshape power dynamics.
Fundamentally, they reshape power dynamics, national security paradigms, global influence. It's about understanding and navigating this new frontier where issues like AI, quantum computing, cybersecurity, digital infrastructure are as critical as traditional diplomacy.
A proactive engagement with tech's impact.
Yes, it highlights a proactive engagement with how technology is redefining the global order, bringing together experts, policymakers to discuss the ethical, strategic, economic implications of rapid technological change.
That analysis really highlights the increasing intertwining of technology, economy, national security in modern foreign policy. It's no longer just about armies and trade routes, is it?
Not at all. It's about data flows, digital sovereignty, controlling the tech standards.
Right.
In the 21st century, technological prowess, control over digital infrastructure are becoming as important, maybe more so in some ways, than traditional military might. Foreign policy now requires a deep understanding of these complex interdependencies.
And convening this summit.
The ability to convene global dialogues on the geopolitics of technology positions a nation at the forefront, helping define norms, shape the future of technological governance on the world stage. It's a testament to a comprehensive approach that recognizes every dimension of global interaction, from the physical to the digital.
Okay, switching gears slightly. Our sources also talk about expanding foreign policy outreach within the country, even down to different states. Why is that important for foreign policy, which traditionally feels very centralized, very Delhi-centric perhaps?
That's a really interesting point. This expansion of foreign policy outreach to various parts of the country, organizing these Track 1.5, Track 2.0 dialogues domestically, isn't just a random idea. It's explicitly in line with recommendations from the Parliamentary Standing Committee on External Affairs.
Okay. So there's a formal push for this.
Yes, it's about democratizing foreign policy discourse, engaging a broader set of stakeholders beyond the capital, ensuring that foreign policy isn't just a Delhi-centric activity, but has resonance, has input from across the nation.
What are the benefits of that?
Well, by engaging regional voices, it strengthens national consensus on foreign policy. It brings local perspectives, unique regional insights, diverse expertise to global issues. For example, coastal states might offer invaluable perspectives on maritime security or blue economy ideas. States with strong tech hubs could inform digital diplomacy.
Making policy more robust and representative.
Exactly. This decentralization makes the foreign policy more robust, representative, and effectively leverages the country's diverse strengths. It's about building a deep and wide national understanding of global challenges and opportunities.
That's a great point about bringing local perspectives to global issues. Can you give us some specific examples of these domestic dialogues, how they reflect this expanded distributed outreach strategy?
Absolutely. The sources highlight several key initiatives that really illustrate this. First, the Northeast India and Bay of Bengal in the Indo-Pacific Dialogue. This was held in Tripura back in April, collaboration with Asian Confluence.
Peru, okay.
This specific dialogue points to the strategic importance of regional perspectives, particularly from the Northeast within that broader Indo-Pacific narrative. It recognizes that regions like the Bay of Bengal are crucial maritime, economic corridors, and local insights are vital for comprehensive regional policy.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, the 9th International Relations Conference on India's Strategic Culture. This was organized by Symbiosis International University in Pune in November.
Pune again.
Yes, and the division provided funding support. This conference delved into the historical, cultural underpinnings of the nation's strategic thinking. The theme was revisiting Indian strategic thought and culture. So understanding the deep-rooted philosophical, historical influences on foreign policy, connecting ancient wisdom, perhaps, with modern challenges.
Interesting.
Third, the first international conference on Purvodaya perspectives, held in Bhubaneswar in December, focusing on the theme Future of Connectivity.
Purvodaya looking east.
Exactly. This initiative specifically highlights regional development and integration, focusing on the eastern part of the country and its connections to the broader Asian continent, emphasizing infrastructure, economic links.
And one more?
And finally, the second edition of Maharana Pratap Annual Geopolitics Dialogue. This was organized back in March by the USANAS Foundation in Udaipur. Theme: India's role in the changing world order.
Udaipur, a culturally significant location.
Right. A high-level dialogue in a historic city emphasizing the nation's evolving role and historical legacy in modern geopolitics. Each of these showcases a deliberate effort to engage regional think tanks, academic institutions, fostering a distributed network of foreign policy engagement across the country.
And these domestic engagements feed into a larger ecosystem of expertise, which brings us to the key institutions supporting this division.
Precisely. The supporting pillars.
Let's talk about the Indian Council of World Affairs, or ICWA. Sounds like a venerable institution. What's its mission in supporting the foreign policy apparatus? How does it contribute to the nation's intellectual capital?
Okay, ICWA. The Policy Planning and Research Division is its administrative and nodal division within the ministry. ICWA is mandated to analyze geopolitical and geostrategic trends and developments. It plays a pivotal role in contributing to shaping a national narrative on foreign policy and international relations.
How does it do that?
Through various activities: extensive research, diverse publications, regular discussions, broad foreign policy outreach. Its core mission is to provide scholarly, in-depth input for foreign policy decision-making, ensuring policy is grounded in rigorous academic analysis, a deep understanding of global shifts.
And their output, you mentioned publications earlier.
Yes, their productivity is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
The sources note the Council published an impressive 155 research papers on topical issues during the year.
155, wow.
Plus 13 separate House papers, which are probably more in-depth studies, and 20 books or special publications, covering a huge range: the G20 and SEO presidencies, 75 years of foreign policy, the UNSC tenure from 2021-22.
And translations too.
Yes, they continued efforts to translate publications into Hindi and other Indian languages, significantly broadening their reach and accessibility to a wider domestic audience. Plus, they organized a large number of related activities: Track 2.0 dialogues, lectures, conferences with visiting foreign dignitaries, cementing its role as a key intellectual hub.
That's an incredible volume. How does a body like ICWA, focused on this long-term analysis, this narrative building, complement the more immediate policy planning work of the division itself? This intellectual infrastructure seems strategically indispensable.
It's an indispensable complement, absolutely. While the Policy Planning Division focuses on medium-term strategies, immediate responses, ICWA provides the deeper, longitudinal analysis needed for truly understanding macro trends, shaping that consistent, long-term national narrative.
Like the historical anchor.
That's a good way to think of it. The historical and philosophical anchor. It can delve into historical contexts, cultural nuances, theoretical frameworks that inform enduring foreign policy principles. For example, its research on the G20 presidency wouldn't just summarize events. It would analyze the long-term strategic gains, the diplomatic approach that made it successful.
Building intellectual capital.
Exactly. By fostering scholarly research and discussions, ICWA helps develop the intellectual capital underpinning robust diplomacy. It's like the strategic foresight unit, constantly feeding informed perspectives into operational planning, ensuring decisions are not just pragmatic, but also philosophically grounded, strategically sound, enhancing the nation's soft power, its intellectual influence globally.
Okay, and then there's RIS, Research and Information System for Developing Countries.
Yes, RIS, also supported by the P&R division.
What's their unique contribution? Especially thinking about that Voice of Global South initiative we discussed. How do they differ from ICWA?
RIS is an autonomous policy research institute, but it specializes specifically in issues related to international economic development, trade, investment, technology.
The economic focus is key.
That's the main distinction from ICWA's broader foreign policy mandate. RIS's primary mission is promoting South-South cooperation and collaborating with developing countries in multilateral negotiations in various forums.
So very much focused on the developing world's economic interests.
Precisely. It highlights a clear emphasis on economic diplomacy, fostering collaboration among developing nations, especially in global forums like the G20 or the UN. It serves as an intellectual engine for global economic policy dialogue, specifically from a developing country perspective, providing research insights tailored to their specific challenges and opportunities.
So its mandate perfectly aligns with the VOGSS initiative.
Perfectly aligns with and significantly strengthens the Voice of Global South initiative. It provides the analytical, the intellectual backing needed to advance the collective economic interests of developing countries on the global stage. translating that shared voice into concrete economic policy recommendations.
And RIS seems to have played a huge, multifaceted role during the G20 presidency.
Immense role.
Tell us about the G20 University Connect initiative. It sounds like a massive public engagement effort.
RIS truly stepped up during the G20 presidency, an extraordinary commitment to public outreach. Under this G20 University Connect initiative, they undertook lectures on G20 issues, reaching and engaging an astonishing number, over 1 lakh students.
1 lakh, that's over 100,000 students?
Yes, from 101 universities across the country. It's a remarkable public outreach effort, far beyond typical policy engagement.
What was the aim?
Building widespread awareness, understanding of global governance issues, the G20's agenda among the next generation, fostering future leaders who are informed about complex international challenges. It's about creating a grassroots understanding of global policy, democratizing that knowledge, and inspiring youth to engage with international affairs.
Okay, and beyond University Connect, RIS was central to so many G20-related discussions, events. The list is long. Rather than just list them, could you maybe group their extensive activities into a few key strategic themes to help us grasp their collective impact?
Absolutely. That's a good idea. RIS's engagement was indeed comprehensive and can be broadly grouped into several strategic themes, showcasing their intellectual leadership and convening power during that G20 year. One major theme was clearly economic resilience and the digital future. For instance, in July, collaborating with the Bharat Web3 Association, RIS organized a roundtable on the virtual digital assets industry, looking at the evolving policy, the regulatory landscape from both India's and the G20 perspective.
Tackling cutting-edge issues.
Exactly, proactively addressing new frontiers of global finance like digital assets regulation, cross-border implications. Another critical theme was sustainable development and global well-being. Back in April, in Kerala, they organized a development working group program on Towards a Green Transition, focusing on lifestyle for environment and just green transitions, underscoring environmental sustainability.
Life is a big G20 push.
It was, and this was followed by releasing a crucial policy brief on India's G20 presidency and sustainable development in the Himalaya in June, linking global policy to specific regional environmental concerns. Their big T20 Task Force 3 seminar series also fits here, 6 seminars delving into nuances like well-being measurement, sustainable consumption, infusing ethics and values, financing sustainable infrastructure, a deep intellectual commitment to shaping concrete policy recommendations for global sustainable development.
A third key area.
It's definitely youth engagement and inclusivity. Beyond the huge University Connect, RIS organized a Youth 20 brainstorming workshop in Patna in April, and more Y20 sessions across the country: Visakhapatnam, Bhubaneswar, Jaipur, Guwahati on the future of work, Industry 4.0, innovation, 21st century skills, engaging youth massively on critical future topics. Plus, a T20 side event in March focused on women as active participants and propellers of economic growth, highlighting gender integration.
And finally,
a strong focus on international collaboration and policy alignment. They held a special Think 20 program on global governance early in the year, integrating values with practical cooperation. In July, alongside the T20 Summit in Mysuru, RIS and the Asian Development Bank Institute organized a joint meeting of T7 and T20 leadership to discuss addressing the poly crisis, reigniting the 2030 agenda. These kinds of events ensured India's G20 priorities resonated globally and aligned with major international policy frameworks.
That thematic grouping really helps put the sheer volume of RIS's G20 work into perspective.
Wow.
They weren't just organizing events, but really strategically driving intellectual discourse and outreach across so many crucial areas.
They were incredibly active and central to the G20's intellectual track.
Okay. And finally, a crucial, perhaps less visible piece of the puzzle. The piece that underpins all this strategic thinking and dialogue. The ministry's library.
Ah, the library. Often overlooked, but vital.
How does it fit into this elaborate network of foreign policy development? It sounds like the ultimate information backbone.
It absolutely is the backbone. The MEA library serves as the resource and information center for officers and staff at headquarters and, critically, for Indian missions and posts abroad. It's the foundational knowledge repository, providing the vast, organized information necessary for all the planning, the research, the diplomatic engagement we've discussed.
You can't have foreign policy without information.
You simply cannot have well-informed, agile, effective foreign policy without a strong, accessible information backbone. The library housed currently in Patiala House in Jawaharlal Nehru Bhawan in New Delhi, plays that fundamental role. It ensures diplomats, policymakers have immediate access to intelligence, historical context, current affairs insights, even cultural information needed to make sound decisions, represent their nation effectively.
The silent powerhouse.
A good description. The silent powerhouse of information, ensuring institutional memory, continuous learning within the foreign policy establishment. Without it, all the planning and dialogues would lack the necessary depth, the necessary accuracy.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What does this all mean for us, the listeners? How can we understand the bigger picture of India's global engagement strategy through this lens? Our deep dive today into the Policy Planning and Research Division shows us that a nation's foreign policy is indeed, well, a symphony maybe. A complex symphony of strategic planning, proactive dialogues, rigorous research, and extensive outreach both globally and domestically.
Indeed. I think symphony is a good word. It highlights the paramount importance of institutionalizing foresight and collaboration in foreign affairs. From charting those medium-term policies, coordinating major global summits like VOGSS, to fostering nuanced bilateral and multilateral dialogues with diverse nations, and engaging deeply with its own academic and think tank community. This division really acts as a powerful, multifaceted engine for a dynamic and influential global presence.
It's about being prepared, proactive,
And persuasive on the world stage, ensuring that a nation not only responds to the world, but actively contributes to shaping its future.
You've now seen, hopefully, some of the hidden layers beneath the headlines, the deliberate mechanisms that allow a country to not just respond to the world, but to actively, strategically shape it, using this integrated approach that leverages both internal expertise and external collaboration.
And as you go about your day, maybe consider this. How much of what we see playing out on the global stage is actually a spontaneous reaction? And how much is the result of years, maybe even decades, of meticulous planning, rigorous research, and dedicated bridge building, like the kind we've explored today? Which raises, I think, an important question for anyone interested in international relations. In an increasingly complex, interconnected global environment, what kind of intellectual and institutional infrastructure do you think is most vital for any nation to effectively navigate and influence the future?
Something to chew on indeed. Until next time, keep diving deep.